Roll for Revelry. Cool. So you guys started your new characters. Dan, Gina, you had an opportunity to do a session 0 kind of background story thing. Bob and Lindsay, Lindsay will be right back here in a second. But we had a cool opportunity. We will be doing yours in the future. It'll be kind of like a prequel video. We'll take off from where your background story starts, and then kind of pick up on why Bob Cato was on the edge of the forest, gathering food with Oki, and why Orla was just trotting down the street on a random whim. But that's kind of on brand for her anyway. So. A quick background. We've all been playing D&D for about a year. We're not that great at it, and we know it. So we'll be getting better. And these kinds of sessions are kind of like hash out sessions on like how did we like everything, where do we think it's going to be going, and then any tips and tricks that we could pass on to anybody that would be wanting to do their own thing, wanting to start their own campaign, wanting to play a different way than they normally have, or any suggestions for their group to kind of make anything better. If we can learn, they can learn, and that's all the better. I have a few things real quick. My notes were oh shoot, what were my notes? I can't read any of them. So. Oh, dude, the grave that you're like digging graves for these bad guys before they're dead as an interrogation technique was pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
Right?
You get so dark, Bob.
I mean, to be fair, I did have a moment of silence for the actual dead. And
I guess that's dead.
The not dead. It's
right.
a pretty good tactic to scare the shit out of someone, first off. And second off, when push came to shove, I was prepared to untie him and fight him to the death. I wasn't going to just kill him in a grave, right? So, and then I would have killed him because I'm just the superior fighter. So then I just saved myself some work from having to dig another grave.
Can I just say though, like Bob killed it with his backstory and having like mythology and like basically, I was like, hey, what are Dragonborn like in this world? And there's so much cool stuff. I'm so excited. I'm not even going to share it with everybody, but I'm just saying it was a very cool moment, and that story with Tiamat and Bahamut is fucking cool, man. That's cool. That's not.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to do stuff like I wasn't sure how to get. Okay, so like you brought up the bread, which was like the tails, right?
Yeah.
I was like, we could like hit on that again. So then I just kind of off the cuff had Oki brand him, right? But then
that makes sense though, because like that brand is a part of your culture,
right? Like, and I want to figure out how I can like pull out little pieces of that, like mythology, like that universe that we created, without being like, here it is, right?
Yeah. And that's the hard part too. Is like that's on my part too, because I could lore dump and just throw out a bunch of stuff, but that's boring. Like you don't want to hear me talk about this world that I made, and no, it's not that. It's the world that we made. We had a super cool session, like that kingdom building session was like I think at one point Bob was like, oh hey, there's at this point there's the introduction of sending stones, because we were like doing a riff on like cell phones or something like that. So I don't know if we mentioned it this session, but in the mini game sessions, there are like sending stones that are enormous monolith-esque stones in the cities that are basically soap boxes. And they call out it's not as evil, but the hour of hate kind of mentality. Like they call out like these, oh, hey, here's the news of the day in these courtyards. And I think that is, we would have never gotten there if it hadn't been for Bob's joke about introducing cell phones. Like, and there's just so much, it's so cool to be able to draw inspiration from ourselves, I guess I would say it's social media.
Or like a TV, or like yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. We'll figure it out. Yeah. And we're gonna I don't know if we checked on anti-feats or even feats for everybody. What's up?
I said we can't hear Dan.
Oh, you can't hear Dan?
No, not on. We can through here, but not on
Twitch.
Twitch, yes.
You can hear the rest of us though?
Yep.
Okay.
How about now? Can you hear me on Twitch now?
Oh, here, hang on. Let me go back. Let me go into another room.
Okay. I'll just snap my fingers.
That said, what Dan was talking about was that it was a cool riff on yeah, we can hear you on Twitch now. So I don't know if you want to go through that again, but for the gist of it was like in the starter kit of D&D, you can go and fight goblins and orcs, and it's a classic kind of adventure, and we kind of flipped the script on it, and that was one thing I was like, all right, cool, yeah. Like you guys, I mentioned to Dan a while ago, it was like, hey, where do you want to start? Like, do you want to start in a tavern? Do you guys, what do you feel like? And Dan was, I think, it might have been just a conversation between he and I, but he was like, I don't know, man, just the side of the road, which is cool because it reminds me of the first time we played Gloomhaven. Like, you guys had a road encounter, and it was with the Gloomhaven equivalent of a bunch of tieflings, and you were like, oh, well, what can I do? Because you wanted to play, you played D&D, you wanted to more than just the two choices that you had.
Do I
And I'm
kick
like, well,
down
it's
the
not
door?
that. It's like, you have this, you have that. And he was like, oh. And then, like, that was one of those moments that, like, I'm like, oh, man, he's got a good point. Like, this is like, instead, now it's like, oh, hey, you meet these people on the road, you can do anything at all, which is super cool, and that's why we love the game, why we love the aspects. But I also wanted to use like that flip of the script to like show you that the world is not your classic fantasy style world. There's a little bit more to it. There's a little bit more inclusion. There's been this trauma on the world, and different people have reacted differently to it. Some have closed themselves off. Some have included others. Some have kind of a mix between any of that and coping. And yeah, I think we're gonna have some fun. I think we're gonna have some good times.
And if nobody wants to watch, that's super cool with me too.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't. I mean, we're like, what we at the beginning of it was like, oh hey, we can record this. We're gonna play anyway. Yeah, Lindsay's on the other side of me. That's my wife, so we're in the same room. If you're tripping out about that,
shout out to Elise.
What's up?
Shout out to Elise, our most favorite
Elise.
party member, who is no longer playing with us on Sundays due to her being a level 2 doctor.
Yep. Yeah, she's a level 2 doctor. Level 3 doctor.
Well, not done with level 3, but on level.
She's currently mid level 3.
She's side-scrolling level 3 right now.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, so she's on level 3, but has not completed it.
If you go by semesters, yes.
Yeah. So it'd be cool too. Elise is Bob's fiance, and hopefully she can join us sometime. You know, we'll figure it out if she can. If she can't, that's okay too. We've got bigger things than playing board games on the internet. You know, but
Boring.
it's not even board games, it's tabletop games. We don't even have board.
What are you gonna save people's
With that said,
lives?
we hopefully will be getting either a virtual tabletop that we're going to kind of be playing around with. We're going to get some music and some sounds. When we can play in person, we will. I'm not sure quite how that's going to work, but we're going to get some cameras set up one side of the table and the other. And I love painting minis. I encourage all of you guys, if you want to paint your own minis, we can have a day of it and have fun. If not, I can do it too. Whatever. But
Would you
anyways,
say it would be a mini adventure?
ooh, yeah, I would say that. Gina, what was your favorite part about today?
My favorite part about today. I really liked Lindsay's nursery sing-song rhyme when she was casting the
Thank
mass healing word. I thought that was delightful.
you.
I'm so glad you stuck to Bard because just like the creative touches that you put on it with like music is
Thank
so
you.
fun.
Yeah, I wish I was able to like still kind of do the same thing that I was doing last time because it's just so much fun. Like I have a very large connection, I feel like, with music personally. So finding music like to match a feeling or like something that I'm trying to convey was like super fun, but obviously there are what do they call those?
Like
Copyright laws. I wouldn't be able to like use that. So I totally understand.
Yeah.
But I am gonna try to be able to add my own twist onto it and come up with some fun stuff. So it'll be in the works. Yeah. But thank you. Yeah, that was fun.
Bob, what was your favorite part, man?
I'd say it was a toss-up. It was either like being able to like start dropping in some of the like lore background that we created for the Dragonborn,
Yeah.
but very closely tied with the initial encounter when everyone was just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna keep my head down and walk past each other, and that's how we're gonna start this world." Like,
God, I can't believe you guys. You're a bunch of jerks.
That's funny. Oh, I want to talk to this person. You know, it's
Yeah.
like see whenever you're like in a grocery store and you see somebody that like you knew from the town that you grew up in, and you're like,
I was like this close
see me.
to being like, if you guys don't see each other, I'm gonna be like, all right, cool. You all went your separate ways, and we'll restart next week with new characters because you guys don't want to be friends. Like,
like in game, you wouldn't know, but out of game, it's like clearly we all just sat down to play together. So then for the first move to be like, and we ignore each other.
Right.
I guess I should have said like, does Dan have anything worth stealing? And that should have been how I like approached him initially.
That's funny.
true. True. What time's your meeting?
6:30.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got some time.
And that's why we went a little earlier. Bob's got a dinner to get to, and Lindsay has a meeting at her work.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go, chefs. So
Cheers.
real quick before we sign off for our little after post credit sequence, what somebody have any advice? Anything that we've learned this round, this session? I know that this kind of chat could get a little repetitive, but I think like as we are learning, we'd like to share around what we can to help anybody else learn. Maybe about character creation, maybe about something like backstory or how to work that out.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. And I think like when we first started playing, everything was super new, so even I was having like a hard time even connecting with my character just because it was like, so very new. I think with now I know I'm playing pretty much the same character as I was before. There are some differences. But since we have dug a little bit deeper into the backstory, I definitely feel like I embody this character a little bit more, or that I can put, a little bit more into it. And I feel definitely a larger connection to my character, which makes it much easier to be able to make decisions, speak on her behalf, and all those things. So.
Yeah, so Orla is kind of like an alternate reality Orla.
Mhm.
You're the one who wanted specifically your same character. Bob, you kind of went the same route. You have the same class, you have the same race. But I think you've also, the way you've adapted this character is tenfold way cooler, in my opinion, than the half sheet of backstory that I gave you with Rat Killer, your previous character.
And
I think that is, and that goes for everybody. Like the first campaign, basically, I had many synopses of each character, but I had like 10, and I was like, hey. And I think, Dan, you were the only one that I didn't do that. And I know, Gina, you wanted to play a druid, but even then, it was like, here's what I think. What do you, like, here's an idea. Here's a starter aspect of a backstory. And that works. That's all fine and dandy. But I think that the way that we did it this time was like, hey, basically, I had a map, and I said, where are you from? And it didn't have any labelings on it or anything else like that. It was just a map that I whipped up on some map generator website, and people kind of just like, ooh, that looks interesting there. And I was like, all right, cool. What race are you? What, like, what class do you want to be? Why? And just started asking questions of like, why and how does that work? And then it's really everybody else that's been fleshing out the world and the culture, that the substance that makes the world. I just literally made a skeleton, and you guys started putting tendons and muscles together.
I would say too, AJ, that one of the cool things I think about this session versus the last ones, having created such an in-depth version of my own character's backstory, now I get to drive the actual story, right? So like I am so familiar with my backstory that when my character takes an action in the game, you have to react, as opposed to when I'm just learning what my character is and I'm like, oh, I guess my character would probably do this. That's already built to like how you're running the world. Where like now I can be like, and I do this, and then you can be like, oh well, I know why you would do that, so this is probably, like it just gives more more things going on there.
Yeah, a lot more layers, like so many more, which it definitely makes it feel more fuller, than it was before. So.
And that's much more of it's much less of the reactive play style and more of a collaborative play style.
Right.
Which is super cool. Does anybody have any closing notes, any last little bits that they want to mention, or anything that they would like to speak up about?
I don't think so. No?
Cool.
Having a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in for our post-credit scene.
Yes, thank you.
We will see you next week, Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Roll for Revelry. So yeah, thank you all very much for tuning in. I hope our little tidbit section here was at least entertaining or fun or whatnot. If it's not, we'll stop doing it. If it is, we'll just stop doing it on air. Well, that's what it is. We'll stop doing it recorded because we're still gonna do it. We're just us talking about whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful evening. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.